Diana here with FlexiFuse. We're going to talk about a new product we have and how we're going to make it. This is actually a full quilt. You're going to get all the pieces laser cut for the flowers and the lettering. This is by Laura Heine, and this turns out to be 71 by 80. So it makes a pretty good sized quilt. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to get started with this kit. You're going to get all your pieces will come, and they're all going to be piled on top of each other. So I'm going to show you what it looks like once you get this kit and how I organize it, because there are so many pieces. I'm sure there's over 200 pieces in this kit. So let's get organized. So these are all my pieces that I've already numbered and ready to cut those out and organize them. These are my ones I still need to do. So what I do is you will get a color guide that looks like this. And I'm working in the green fabrics right now. And so what I'll do is I'll find the one that goes to it. So this one goes with this one. And it shows me exactly, let's get you up close. It'll show you exactly what pieces they are. I like to number mine on the back because then I'm not searching for pieces. So what I do is I will take my piece and I will lay it so it's looking exactly like the one that I have. So here it is right here. Now, the thing you have to remember here is you're going to work in reverse when I turn this over. So here's how it looks exactly like that one. I'm going to turn it over, and I have to remember that I'm going to work from the right of this over to the left. So here's my first piece. And I'm going to label that as M1. Then I have A6, and I have E4. So the biggest thing to remember is that you're going to go opposite of what this says, because you are in reverse now because of turning it over. Once I get all of this done, then I'm ready to start clipping out my pieces. Before I start clipping out my pieces, I usually use sandwich bags, but we have these bags at work that we can reuse, and I am just labeled them A through S. That's how many pieces there are, and pieces within each letter. So each flower will have its own bag, each set of letters will have its own bag, and sandwich bags are plenty big enough to do this in. So I will do this, and then I will get my scissors. And here's another important part when you're working with laser kits, is to make sure you get a really sharp pair of scissors. So here's some of the scissors that I have that I love. Biggest thing is to make sure there's a very pointed end. So find yourself a sharp pair of scissors before you start cutting out your pieces. Okay, I'm going to come back after I've cut out all my pieces, and I'm ready to start making some of the pieces for the quilt. Okay, we're ready to continue working on He Loves Me, He Loves Me Not. Took my pieces home. They're all in their bags by their letters, and the backs are all numbered. So what I use to do that is, remember I used my color guide to help me know what pieces go where, and I just number my pieces on the back. So I have, here's A14. So I have my pieces all ready to do my first block. You're going to use this as your as your guide that tells you which block is which. Here's the next thing that is very helpful is here is your numbered parts. You're going to get a pattern that's not numbered. So what I've done is I've taken my pattern, and you can see I've numbered it in corresponds to this. The other thing I did is I folded my flower in half and then in half again. And I have marked that with a T. So you can see that my T line there. And what I've done with my fabric is the same thing. Press it in half and then half again so that I have a T line that I can lay right on top so it will be centered. So here's my T line. So I'm gonna go ahead and lay that down and we're gonna get started. Okay, as you can see, my flower has a lot of pieces that are overlaid. That means pieces have to be placed on top of one another. Because of that, I am going to use a silicone mat first, and I'm going to build my whole flower, and then I'm going to transfer it to the fabric. So you will notice that I'm starting with number 10 because all the numbers before 10 are down here with the leaves. But I want this flower all built before I put it onto the fabric. This is the silicone mat that we use. It's been my favorite so far of the ones I've used. So we're gonna get started using that silicone mat. Okay, so I've got my silicone mat laid down. I'm using a light box. If you have a light box, great. Make sure that it has tempered glass that you can iron on top of that glass. If you have just a light box without tempered glass, you can go to your glass company and have them cut a piece of tempered glass for you. Okay, so here's number 10. I'm going to start here. Here's my piece number 10. And usually I would say I go in order. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what ones lay on top of that piece. So here's 10. And right there, and 14 lays on top. I'm checking my next number 21, and it goes on top of this one, so I will place this one. 20 also goes on top of that one, so I will place that one. Okay, in building this, I'm going to want to just barely tack these down. The reason being is by chance, if I happen to get one not overlapped where it's supposed to be, I can easily lift that and get that piece where it needs to be. So got those lined up, those lined up. And I'm ready just to barely tap those down. I'm using this iron. It's called a Dritz. You can find this at fabric stores. It's also Amazon. So I'm just going to use a light little bit of heat. There we go. And it's on to my mat. So now I can just continue building. And again, I'm looking to see which ones go next. And so I have an 18. And then a 19 that goes on top of that. And so I'm just gradually going to look for pieces that need to be laid on top of one another. So I need to adjust that one a bit. Okay, so I've got a 21, but I have my 21 piece right here, and I have my 15 here. So I can put these two pieces in next. So I'm looking to see what has to lay behind and what has to be on top. So I'm going to continue to build my flower. When my flower is done, I'll show that to you and we'll get the stem on and we'll put it onto the fabric. Okay, so here's my flower. I've built it on the Teflon mat. I'm ready to go to fabric. So I'm just going to take my flower and move it aside. And here's my cross right here. And I'm going to put my fabric down on that and line it up so that it is centered when I get done. So I'm just going to make sure I line up those lines. There's my lines there, my lines here. So I've got it lined up. Lined up out there. Okay, I think we are lined up. Once I get that lined up, I'm going to want to pin that down. So I'm just going to pin down to the paper. Okay. All right, so put that down. A few on the side. All right, so now we're ready to put our stem into place. We're going to do that in order as it tells us. So we're going to start with number 1. So those are going to be all your leaves. So all your leaves are going to tuck underneath your stem. Something I need to show you is the leaves change on the pattern. So if you can see over here on this one, I've written number 2 right here is on A, C, E, H, and you have something that says this. Number 2 on these letters, L, F, I, O, S, are on this side. So you got to watch which one goes where, because that second leaf changes. So just be aware of that. Make sure you label it on which side it goes on for which one. Okay, so we're going to start with number 1, and I am on fabric, so I am going to iron it down. So I'm just going to line that up. Make sure the stem is covering it. And I'm going to iron that into place. Now I could use my regular iron now. I'm just going to tap it all down, and then I go to the iron and iron everything down. Okay, so this is A that I'm working on. And for A, leaf number 2 goes on this side. So I'm going to put that one in place. And iron it down to my fabric. Okay, that one's down. I'm gonna go to 3. So I'll just continue to put this together, and then we'll be ready to move our flower over to our fabric. Okay, so I've got my leaves in place and my stem. I'm loving how bright this is. The leaves are all different colors, the stem's all colors. I'm loving the colors in the flower. So I'm ready to move my flower off the sheet. So just carefully lift it up. I'm gonna get it in place here. And if it doesn't match up perfect, it's okay. You got the most important thing is to make sure that you don't have white spaces. The only white space you'll have is up here in this little piece right here. So I've got my flower on the fabric. Make sure I center. It's got a good center on it. And I'm going to iron it down. Use my big iron for this because I can now press everything down. And I'll finish pressing this down. I'm loving how bright this is. The next one I'm going to do is the words, words that say he loves me not. So I'll show you how I'm doing that section, and then we'll just continue to work through the sections until we have this put together. Okay, so I want to show you the flower. This is the first flower. I'm loving all the bright colors. So I'm ready to do my first lettering, and when you get your layout, you're going to see your letters just right here. He loves me not. And it's supposed to mean kind of not in order. They're supposed to kind of be a little wavy and just, but as a retired teacher, I can't do that. So I took my letters and I did this. So I just copied them from here over to here. I got them all lined up, centered, so that they are in order. And then if I want to turn them a little bit, I'll turn them a little bit. So this is what mine looks like. I've cut all my fabric, all my backgrounds to the size of the flower because I'm not really sure where I'm going to put which ones. And I've just used scraps. So here's some of mine that I'm going to be using right there. Those are going to be backgrounds for either words or for a flower. So I've just cut them all to that, and if I need to, I'll cut down the size, but I have it centered. So it's going to be centered. So I don't have to worry too much about space above and below. I can cut it and have it still centered. Okay, so this is what I did first. I'm going to show you my letters. Here's my letters. I laid them out first because I wanted to make sure that I didn't have two letters, two colors by each other the same color. You can just start with the first word and just work yourself down, work your way down, and that's fine too. And you can off-center them or however you want to place them. All right, so here's my letters. And I'm just going to take my fabric. This is the fabric I chose. I'm just going to lay it on there. And again, I put that cross line on there so I can just line it up both ways so that it's going to be straight. And I'm going to pin this down to the paper because I don't want it to move when I'm putting the letters down. So just put a few pins in place to hold that as you put the letters down. And if you wanted, you could just take your letters and lay them on top of your fabric. You could just do something like this and just go, okay, I want this one here, here, and just have them offset. You can do that if you want. It's however you want to place them. Like I said, I have a thing for having them straight, so mine will be straight, and you saw how I did that. So I'm gonna get those pins, and then I'm gonna start up here with H and peel the paper off and place it down and iron it down. Okay, I'm just going to keep working my way down to get the saying in, and then I'll show you when I have it done. Okay, so I have all my letters down. This is the one that says he loves me not. There are a few that says he loves me, and all you're going to do is center that part in the middle so that your lettering is centered. But I want to show you the colors up close in this one because these are the colors that you're going to see the flowers, the different flowers that you're going to. I just love the brightness. So those are the bright colors, the purples, the orange, the yellow. They're just really bright. So when you see this picture, it really doesn't do it justice because those colors are so much brighter, the turquoise and all of them. So if you have a graduation coming up or you need a gift, wedding gift, this is going to be a really cute throw quilt. And it finishes, I need to tell you a finishing size. And let me get that, 71 by 80 is the finishing size for this one. So I'm excited to get going on it and continue making the pieces. Pull out your scraps. If you have questions about this, go ahead and email us. Send us something off. If you have a question about the quilt, you want to see more colors, I'm going to work as quick as I can to get this done so that you get to see the colors more. But there it is.